I have tracked storms for over 20 years, and what is happening right now stopped me cold. The storm track is making a major turn that millions of Americans are simply not prepared for. From the drought-stricken southeast to the tornado-threatened plains, nobody is ready for what comes this week. 17 states are under fire weather alerts, and the severe weather machine is locked and loaded today. By the time this video ends, you will know exactly who faces the worst of it and when. Folks, this is the real deal, so stay with me all the way through to the very last second. Right now across Texas and Oklahoma, red flag warnings are screaming at every fire department in the region. Winds are howling at 40 to 50 miles per hour, and humidity has plunged to dangerous single-digit levels. In Dallas and Fort Worth at 75 degrees, bone-dry air turns any spark into a potential disaster today. Just down the road in Oklahoma City, conditions are nearly identical and active burn bans are already in effect. Over in Wichita, Kansas, that relentless combination of wind, heat, and zero moisture is flat-out terrifying right now. Topeka and Kansas City are locked inside that same dangerous fire weather corridor stretching for hundreds of miles. Further south, San Antonio and Austin sit at 71 and 75 degrees with critically low humidity today. Good Lord, even up in Minnesota today, red flag warnings have been issued, and that is a truly wild thing. Over in southern Georgia, Alabama, and northern Florida, red flag warnings cover an enormous swath of tinder-dry landscape. Fire crews across those states say these conditions are the most extreme they have faced all season long. Up in the Texas Panhandle, Amarillo and Lubbock are being hammered by red flag warnings and 50-mile-per-hour gusts. Midland, Texas, and Abilene are also under fire threat as dry winds race across land that has had no rain. No two ways about it, this fire weather setup from Texas all the way to Minnesota is historically dangerous. Plain and simple, folks, if you live in any of these areas, you need a fire escape plan right now. A single downed power line or an unattended campfire in these conditions can ignite a catastrophic wildfire within minutes. Burn this into your memory. Fire weather is not just a weather alert, it is a life and death warning today. The red flag warning across the Texas Panhandle covers an area larger than the entire state of Ohio today. Gusts of 50 miles per hour are literally ripping topsoil off bare farmland and carrying it miles downwind. Firefighters in Oklahoma and Texas are already stretched thin as multiple blazes compete for limited aerial resources. One fire official in Amarillo told local media this is the kind of day that keeps him up at night. Humidity at 5% with winds this strong means any fire can go from 1 acre to 1,000 fast. Carol Myers, a retired teacher outside Jackson, Mississippi, says she can smell smoke on the wind this morning. Carol walked her property at dawn and said the grass crumbles like paper under her boots right now. If you're grilling today anywhere in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, or across the southeast, please rethink that plan completely. Here's the kicker: the drought driving all this fire danger has now reached historic levels across the southeast. Charlotte, North Carolina is enduring its worst drought since 2008, and burn bans remain firmly in effect right now. Down in Florida, cities like Valdosta, Tallahassee, and Apalachicola are deep inside D4 exceptional drought conditions today. Wildfires have already burned near Naples and Fort Myers, leaving shaken communities and thousands of charred acres behind. Up in the Carolinas, active wildfires are still burning while Gary Kowalczyk, a retired farmer outside Raleigh, watches closely. Gary told his neighbors this morning he has not seen the soil this bone dry in 30 solid years of farming. Down in Arkansas, drought is worsening from Mountain View and Hot Springs all the way into the southern tip. Straight talk from Arkansas through Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia, and deep into Florida. We are desperate for rain. Some D3 and D4 drought zones are so severely dry that months of soaking rain would be needed to recover. Margaret Collins, a grandmother in Richmond, Virginia, says her garden is completely gone and her well is running dangerously low. In Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia, the drought has worsened dramatically with zero relief on the immediate horizon. Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, and the coastal Carolinas have seen almost no meaningful rainfall since the very start of this year. Down in Pensacola and Mobile, Alabama, drought is deepening and fire risk is elevated across both metro areas today. Honest to goodness, the southeast drought is one of the defining weather crises of the entire spring season this year. And across Tennessee, the drought stretches from Memphis east through Nashville and all the way into Knoxville and beyond. Louisville and Cincinnati are also seeing worsening drought conditions as the Ohio Valley enters a period of critical dryness. Over in Greensboro and Winston-Salem, North Carolina, reservoirs are sitting at dangerously low levels right now. Water utilities in those cities are urging residents to cut usage immediately as storage supplies continue dropping. Down in Tallahassee, Florida, the city has issued Stage 2 water restrictions for the first time in over a decade. The situation in northern Georgia is equally dire, with Gainesville and Dahlonega reporting record dry soil moisture readings. Frank Hollister's cousin in Knoxville, Tennessee says their creek went completely dry for the first time in living memory. Farmers across the Ohio Valley are watching crops wither while waiting for a pattern change that keeps getting delayed. Good grief, the drought stretches from southern Texas all the way up to the northern Ohio Valley and beyond. No farmer, no homeowner, and no firefighter in the southeast is ready for another week without meaningful rainfall. Meanwhile, up in the northeast, a completely different story is playing out that caught a lot of folks off guard. Boston woke up to 39 degrees this morning while snowflakes fell from Albany all the way down into Scranton. New York City at 42 degrees has a rain-snow mix pushing through the 5 boroughs right now this morning. Portland, Maine, and Burlington, Vermont are locked around 40 degrees with clear skies and biting northwest wind today. Buffalo at 40 degrees and Cleveland, Ohio at 48 degrees are both seeing a mostly clear but frigid Monday. Up in Syracuse and Rochester, New York, temperatures are in the upper 30s with lingering cloud cover and flurries. Old Man Winter is trying one last stand, but when this cold air exits, severe weather returns with a vengeance. What replaces it over the next 7 days is something else entirely, and you need to understand what is coming. Down in Washington, D.C., at 58 degrees, strong northwest winds are making it feel much colder than it actually is. Philadelphia is sitting at 44 degrees this Monday morning with mostly sunny skies and gusty winds out of the northwest. Baltimore at 59 degrees looks sunny and deceptively pleasant, but the wind-driven fire danger is elevated there too. Good grief, even on a sunny morning like this one, the fire and storm danger lurking ahead is completely real. Pittsburgh is sitting at 45 degrees today as that cold front slowly exits off the Atlantic seaboard. Over in Indianapolis at 52 degrees and Columbus, Ohio at 52, it is a quiet and cool spring day. The calm across the Midwest today is just the deep breath before the severe weather engine fires back up. We started talking about an atmosphere nobody is ready for, and every single data point keeps confirming that truth. Let me take you city by city so you know exactly what to expect and precisely when to take action. Chicago is sitting at 37 degrees and quiet today, but severe weather chances return as the midweek system approaches. Heading south, St. Louis sits at 55 degrees under sunshine, but faces a real thunderstorm threat arriving by Thursday. From St. Louis, we move to Memphis at 65 degrees, pleasant today, but squarely inside the Friday severe risk zone. Nashville at 62 degrees is enjoying a sunny Monday, but the end of this week brings serious storm chances here. Further southeast, Atlanta at 68 degrees is calm today, though storm chances increase dramatically as the pattern shifts east. Over in Birmingham, Alabama at 68 degrees, sunshine rules today, but conditions are set to change by the weekend. Down in Jacksonville and Tampa, temperatures are in the low to mid-70s today with sunshine, but fire weather risk remains real. Bob Simmons, a retired teacher outside Tampa, says his neighborhood has not had meaningful rain since early March. Bob walked outside this morning and said the ground crumbles underfoot and the air carries a hint of smoke. Phoenix is hitting 82 to 91 degrees today, flat out hot as the drought deepens without any relief in sight. Las Vegas is sitting at 75 degrees and sunny while drought conditions continue to worsen across the southwest today. Denver at 46 degrees is sunny and quiet today, but late season snow is possible as next week's system develops. Seattle at 55 degrees has an incoming rain system that will be critical for replenishing the western mountain snowpack. And down in Miami at 78 degrees, warm and partly cloudy, though even South Florida faces elevated fire concerns. Meanwhile, in Albuquerque at 65 degrees, dry and breezy conditions have the desert southwest on alert for fire today. Salt Lake City at 55 degrees is quiet, but the severe drought hitting that snowpack is a dangerous long-term threat. Portland, Oregon at 58 degrees is seeing clouds build ahead of the incoming Pacific system pushing down the coast. Boise, Idaho sits at 60 degrees today, but that misleading calm will not last as the western system approaches. New Orleans at 70 degrees is watching humidity creep back in as the Gulf slowly wakes up for storm season. Baton Rouge at 72 degrees and Shreveport at 70 degrees are calm today, but inside the Friday severe weather zone. Bonnie Greer drove through Greenville this morning and said store shelves are already being checked for water and batteries. Bonnie said her neighbors are torn between praying for rain and dreading the storms that will likely come with it. A powerful storm system is ejecting out of California right now and heading straight for the Central Plains this week. Energy from the Pacific is surging into the Rockies and will kickstart a classic severe weather pattern across the plains. By Wednesday evening, Central High Plains face a marginal severe weather risk as southwesterly flow surges back in. Thursday is when things escalate seriously, and the Storm Prediction Center has already issued a Level 2 slight risk. Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Kansas City, and Topeka are all inside that threat zone for Thursday afternoon and evening. The risk corridor runs from Des Moines and Omaha all the way down through southern Oklahoma and into northern Texas. Cape, your thunderstorm fuel, will rocket to 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram by Thursday afternoon. Wind shear in the 40 to 60 knot range is more than enough to support violent rotating thunderstorms today. Dale Simmons, a retired rancher outside Enid, Oklahoma, says he can feel the air changing and the pressure dropping. Dale has seen enough tornado seasons to know when the atmosphere is loading up, and right now it is loading. If you're in a mobile home near Oklahoma City or Wichita Falls, move to a sturdy shelter before Thursday. Ponca City needs to pay close attention because that city already took a direct tornado hit just days ago. Good grief, the plains are being hit again and again this spring, and this week adds yet another dangerous chapter. Roaring back with a vengeance. The severe weather threat for the plains is confirmed for at least 2 straight days. The SPC is calling Thursday the primary day of concern and Friday as the secondary target across the South. This is a real, locked and loaded severe weather setup, and complacency right now could cost people their lives. By Friday, the threat expands into Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana, pulling Shreveport, Little Rock, and Memphis into the zone. Dallas and Fort Worth stay in the picture Friday as the cold front pushes that storm fuel further south. Frank Hollister, a farmer outside Jonesboro, Arkansas, has already moved equipment into the barn and is watching the sky. Frank has seen Friday setups like this turn into violent tornado outbreaks before, and he is not guessing this time. The SPC highlighted the Jonesboro to Greenville to Shreveport corridor as a slight risk target for Day 5. Folks, honest to goodness, this is a multi-day event, and every day inside it carries legitimate tornado and large hail potential. If you live anywhere from southern Missouri down through Louisiana and east into Mississippi, this is your wake-up call. Stay weather aware all week and have your shelter plan firmly set before Wednesday morning even arrives on the calendar. For all my friends watching from Dixie Alley, from Mississippi and Alabama into Louisiana, do yourself a solid tonight. Go ahead and identify your nearest shelter, download a weather app with alerts, and charge all your devices right now. Here is something that hits different about this setup. Both shear and instability are peaking at the same time. When you combine Cape values above 2,000 with shear above 50 knots, you get classic supercell tornado conditions. These are the same ingredients that produced the April 17th tornado outbreak just days ago across the Midwest. Dale watched that funnel from his porch that night and says it was unlike anything he had ever seen before. If your town has outdoor tornado sirens, check right now whether you know where your nearest interior shelter actually is. A basement, an interior bathroom, or a lowest floor closet, these are your options when the sirens go off. Good Lord, every spring teaches us this same lesson, and too many people are still learning it the hard way. No two ways about it. The time to prepare for a tornado is weeks before one is heading your direction. Here's the bigger picture. El Nino is roaring back in, and that changes everything heading toward May. As La Nina exits and El Nino kicks in, the jet stream will make a fundamental and lasting shift. By April 23rd, the storm track pivots east, and the southeast enters a sustained and serious severe weather period. The Carolinas, Virginia, Georgia, and Florida, which have had almost no rain all spring, will finally get their rain chances. The European model is showing multiple inches of rain heading toward Memphis, Charlotte, Raleigh, Washington, D.C., and Texas. Here comes the big one for late April and May, a powerful surface low with cold air on top. This could bring late-season snowfall to the northern high plains while violent, severe weather erupts across the south. Bonnie Greer, a retired nurse in Greenville, South Carolina, says she has been praying for rain for 2 solid months. Bonnie's garden is gone, her neighbor's pond dried up, and the whole community is holding its breath right now. Do yourself a solid and check your local NWS forecast every morning from now through the first week of May. Rain is definitely coming, folks, but with it comes a severe weather threat you need to be prepared for today. This is the pattern shift that changes everything, and people across the southeast need to know it is coming. The European and American models are now in agreement that severe weather will shift east by April 23rd. A level 3 or higher moderate risk is possible for the Carolinas and Virginia as early as next weekend. If you live east of the Appalachians and you have not had a severe weather plan, now is the time. The setup brewing for late April has meteorologists watching wind shear values that are climbing to alarming levels. Sandra Phelps said her daughter in Charlotte called her this morning worried about the tornado risk arriving next weekend. Sandra told her daughter to identify her shelter, charge her phone, and not wait until storms are already forming. From Charlotte and Raleigh to Richmond and Washington, D.C., the severe weather machine is about to knock on your door. This is roaring back with a vengeance, weeks of quiet followed by a week of back-to-back severe weather threats. Plain and simple, the southeast drought is so severe that even heavy rain will not end it overnight. Some of these areas have not had a meaningful rain event since before the start of the new year. When the rain finally arrives, it may fall so fast and hard that flash flooding becomes an immediate danger. Turn around, don't drown is not just a slogan, it is the rule that saves lives every single season. Sandra Phelps, a grandmother in Valdosta, Georgia, says she is ready for rain, but she is watching the creek nearby. Sandra remembers the catastrophic 2009 flooding in her neighborhood, and she will not be caught off guard again. The drought monitor is almost certainly lagging reality. Actual conditions on the ground are likely even worse than shown. It may take deep into El Nino or even a tropical system in hurricane season to fully beat this drought. Carol walked her property that same morning and says the pond behind her home is less than half full today. Carol said the fish are dying, the cattle are stressed, and the whole community is praying for soaking rain. The groundwater deficits across the southeast are so severe that even a full week of rain would only partially help. Folks, when the pattern finally breaks, please be ready for both the severe weather and the flooding risk simultaneously. When drought-hardened soil gets hit by a sudden heavy rain, the water has nowhere to go but sideways fast. Flash flood watches and warnings will likely follow severe weather watches within hours as this pattern unfolds next week. Dry creek beds that have not seen water in months can go from bone dry to raging torrents in minutes. Bob Simmons in Tampa said he keeps a go bag ready because he has seen how fast things can change. Bob packed that go bag years ago and checks it every spring, and every Florida family should do the same. For families in low-lying areas near the Carolinas and Georgia rivers, now is the time to know your evacuation route. Here's the kicker: once flash flood water starts rising, it is already far too late to safely escape. If you're watching from Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, or Arkansas, drop your city in the comments right now. If you are in the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, or Virginia, let us know where you're watching from today. And if you are in the Midwest from Iowa down to Missouri, tell us right there in the comments below. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications because this pattern will produce dangerous events every single day this week. The next update is already being tracked, and it involves a setup that meteorologists are genuinely losing sleep over. We opened this video with 17 states under fire weather alerts and a storm track about to make a turn. We covered the historic D4 drought crushing the Carolinas and Florida and the powerful midweek plains severe weather threats. We walked through the El Nino pattern shift arriving late April and the flooding and tornado risk it carries. From Boston's 39-degree snowflakes to Phoenix pushing 91 degrees, America is running on weather extremes right now. The atmosphere is loaded and locked, and the next 7 days will demand your full attention every single morning. Nobody is ready for what is coming, but you are now because you watched all the way to the end. Stay weather aware, stay safe, and come back tomorrow because this storm track has more surprises ahead for all of us. This has been Tom, and I will see you in the next update when this pattern makes its next move.